All right, it's Debbie, and I've been working on this presentation for you to improve how you age, specifically focusing this conversation on avoiding muscle loss. I've been talking about brain health, cognitive decline, how to avoid it, and diving into the liver detox pathways. And now I want to focus on how we can improve our muscle health as we age. So we avoid muscle loss, but also focusing on speeding up our metabolism, because when we lose muscle, as all these people taking excessive amounts of medications to lose weight with a GLP-1, that they are slowing down the metabolism because they're losing muscle. So we want to do everything we can do to make up for the changes in our hormones. So let me dive into the slides. And moving me out of the way here, sarcopenia is what we're really looking at. It's just a fancy word for losing muscle. Anabolic resistance is anabolic means breaking down, anabolic is building up, catabolic is breaking down. It's opposite what I was starting to say. As we age, we hear more about losing muscle. And one of my mentors in a roundabout way, I met 5 years ago, Dr. Gabrielle Lyon at a conference, and I was so fascinated by what she was talking about. And 5 years later, look how huge she is. Everyone knows Dr. Gabrielle Lyon and her program and her podcast and her education and her book, Forever Strong. Diving into some definitions and explaining what happens and why it happens, because this is the whole thing about improving how we age from the inside out. So we're fit and healthy as we age at a cellular level. Looking at what happens, what declines as we get older, as I've done this on metabolism, it really, to me, it makes sense. If we know what's going to decrease as we age, well, intuition says, why don't we do what we can to make up for that loss? So my whole skin health routine, I'll do a video on, it's making up for what we lose, why we get wrinkly and thin skin. Increasing collagen production, women taking estrogen replacement or adding estrogen cream, looking at how we are working on our microbiome. Today, we're diving into muscle health. So sarcopenia, definition is that it's a syndrome characterized by the progressive loss of muscle mass, strength, and function that occurs. This is something I'll say. It says, as a natural part of aging, but is natural need to be your new normal? This is what I'm trying to debunk. This doesn't have to happen to us. We can improve it. Sarcopenia is a condition that can impair an individual's ability to perform everyday activities, leading to decreased mobility, increased risk of falls and fractures, which your lifespan is shortened when that hip replacement you hear, or not hip replacement, hip, when you fracture your hip and from a fall, an overall decline of quality of life. But why does this happen? This is what I'm so passionate about sharing. As you may be similar to my age and watching your parents age and pass away, and other members of your family aging and struggling because they're not doing any of this, and we can't control what they do. I can't motivate my mom to do this stuff. I can inspire her and try to guide her, but I can't change her. How can we get stronger and be more mobile and active as we age and not have this happen? That's what I'm trying to get across. If you're over 40, you need to start taking your future self into account, doing everything today. So here's a slide I saw: sedentary behavior, inflammation, body composition drops, increased insulin resistance. You have accelerated decline. Cardiovascular exercise helps lower inflammation, improve body composition in a way, and insulin resistance is improved. If you have a mixed combination workout, which I like people to do, and when I do pneumonia metabolism testing, I'm identifying Are we doing the right amount of cardio, sprint interval training, mobility, stability, core training, and doing your strength training and functional strength training? Mixed exercise program, including all of this. What's right for you? It's not a one size fits all, but we need to customize it based on what we test in your metabolism testing. We have even more decrease in inflammation, even better body composition, and even more declined insulin resistance. And we have a high reduction in decline in aging factors. So looking at this chart, muscle strength and function on the left side, on the bottom, age. I want to be over here at the gray color line. Yellow, yeah, if I just do cardio, I might be here, normal decline. But if I'm really inactive, I'm over here below normal. So personalized instruction, it says supervision are key, strength-based resistance training using free weights, bands, unstable tools should help, included in anti-sarcopenia strategies. Does this sound something you might be interested in? Let me know. Here are some key facts of sarcopenia. It can begin as early as age 30, but accelerates a lot in your 50s and 60s. By the time individuals reach their 70s, sarcopenia is often marked by more profound loss of muscle mass and strength, leading to a functional decline. It affects up to 30% of older adults, especially those over 60. It's higher in older women due to factors of lower baseline muscle mass, hormonal changes, as are estrogen and progesterone, and lower levels of physical activity. What are the end results of this problem? Sarcopenia leads to decreased mobility, making it more difficult to perform basic daily tasks as walking, standing, and lifting objects, as your groceries, as your laundry, putting dishes away. It is so important to lift weights, to keep strong and active and doing your walking. It's amazing to me to see how many people I know in their 80s who are not doing any of this. We need to start now at age 50. Look at age 50 to 60. Don't wait until you're 80. I know most of you are fit and active already, but maybe you can help inspire. Remember, we can't tell people what to do, but we can guide them. We can inspire them, motivate them, give them suggestions, but don't tell them what to do. It doesn't work. Oh, the increase of risk of falling and fractures due to the weakened muscle strength. This is a major, major contributor to reduction in quality of life, causing emotional distress, social isolation, and functional dependence. I know my family members are not walking, they're not doing the strength training, they're not keeping active all day, they're sitting a lot and not eating very much. And I know if they were not able to drive, if they were not able to get up and go travel and do trips with their other family members, they would not be happy camper. So we need to think of the outcome. If I didn't do this, if I didn't walk, I just said this to my mom yesterday that think of brushing your teeth. If you didn't brush your teeth, why is brushing your teeth morning and night a routine for a lot of people? Hopefully everyone. But why don't we do that with movement or sweating or, getting up every hour? Maybe it's just getting the mail every day instead of, I don't need to get the mail every 3 days because I don't have much in that box. Well, what if you don't brush your teeth today unless you go for a walk, even if it's 5 minutes? Making it a simple goal. Base hits to create that home run and not be too overly ambitious that it's just not going to happen. So start simple and add on. Now, muscle protein synthesis we'll dive into a lot here because this is what I've really been interested in. Dr. Donald Layman and Lane Norton and Gabrielle Lyon talk about stimulating muscle protein synthesis, which means the process of building, remember, anabolic versus catabolic. And then we've talked about AMPK versus mTOR pathways, building breaking down. MPS, we'll call it, to make it simple, is a process of building muscle fibers. This occurs when protein intake exceeds protein breakdown. Think of that teeter-totter. Muscle protein synthesis is essential for muscle repair and growth after exercise. Hormones as insulin and testosterone influence muscle protein rates. I just did a great podcast with my friend Karen Martell, the hormone specialist, talking about the role of testosterone. And if you're doing all this and you're still not getting the results, we'll check your hormone levels as testosterone. I will get a link if you want to really know your blood work and not spend so much money because the doctor's not testing these things. Function Health has a discount code I can share with you. It is thousands of dollars to do all these labs individually, but their program is only, I think, $400, and you get 100 markers and you get a year membership, and you do retesting every 3 to 4 months, including testosterone and your estrogens and DHA. All right, so amino acids, specifically leucine, and I will explain the leucine threshold in a little bit as well. These all play a role in stimulating MPS. Why do we lose muscle as we age? So we talked about sarcopenia definition. So it's a combination of age-related changes. Remember, keep this in mind, why I'm doing this seminar. Age-related changes, not something we have to accept as a new normal, but understanding the mechanism of action and what we can control and what we cannot control. We can't control our aging every year chronologically, but biologically test how we can improve that. Age-related changes, muscle physiology, hormone imbalances, inflammatory responses or processes, lifestyle factors as reduced physical activity and poor nutrition. Most of these we can do something about. You can take hormone replacement, we can reduce inflammation, and we can definitely take ownership of our lifestyle changes, our choices. Now, muscle protein turnover refers to the constant cycle of muscle protein synthesis, remember, building, and muscle protein breakdown, catabolism. So anabolism to catabolism. As we age, the ability to synthesize new muscle proteins decrease. This leads to the balance where breakdown exceeds creating new synthesis. So think of the teeter-totter. Now the end of the teeter-totter is up, where we're having muscle protein breakdown versus other side is building up. We want them to be balanced. Now we'll talk about leucine, why it's so fascinating, the leucine threshold theory from Dr. Donald Layman, but leucine is a key amino acid. You can't just take it alone. It has to be with all the essential amino acids. Leucine is a key amino acid involved in initiating muscle protein synthesis. In older adults, the muscle cells may become less responsive to leucine, which further reduces the efficiency of building muscle. So, what do we do about it? Well, we know there's changes in hormones, so we can't accept that maybe it's not your new normal. Maybe you can do something about it, especially testosterone, estrogen. So estrogen is a big area for women to look into perimenopause and postmenopause, the decline in estrogen, a key factor in muscle loss. Men experience lower testosterone, but we can change that by supporting stress, sleep, and the right type of exercise to support our adrenal function and help our testosterone production. Chronic stress and aging can lead to elevated levels of cortisol. Cortisol, as I just talked about many times, stress hormone, and it promotes muscle protein breakdown. So when I struggled with adrenal exhaustion 10 years ago, I was honestly the most fit I've been in my life and did not ever appreciate it at the time until 3 months later, I gained 30 pounds. I had muscle protein breakdown. Catabolism for sure, as my muscle I lost everything. I just came off doing my best race in Ironman Hawaii, triathlons, and I did my best marathons. And suddenly felt sudden, I had my body composition change. My muscle just deteriorated. I was fat. I gained 30 pounds of fat and lost 10 of muscle. I was uncomfortable, embarrassed, ashamed, and felt depressed because I didn't like feeling that way. And I'd like to feel lean and fit and strong. So chronic stress impacts all your hormones and your muscle health. Now, testosterone specifically, just touch on a few of these hormones. The role of testosterone in men and women is similar, but testosterone is a key anabolic. So, anabolic building that stimulates MPS. It promotes muscle growth and strength by increasing production of muscle proteins and enhancing the activity of satellite cells, which are responsible for muscle repair and regeneration. Noting that testosterone levels begin to decline in both men and women around age 30. In men, the decline accelerates after age 40. Testosterone levels start to decrease and muscle protein synthesis slows down. This contributes to muscle loss and seeing that sarcopenia. So this decline also reduces the ability to build new muscle tissue and recover from exercise. So the interview I did with Karen Martell yesterday went over the signs and symptoms of low testosterone. I feel that I checked all those boxes pretty much, and I was supposed to go get my labs done this week, but I did not get there yesterday morning and need to schedule time next week, see where I am. Now, estrogen, we talked with Karen about the role in muscle health. Estrogen plays so many roles, but it does help preserve muscle mass by promoting breakdown. Or sorry, let me say that again. Estrogen helps preserve muscle mass by promoting muscle protein synthesis. Breaking down your muscle is what it's helping avoid, inhibiting muscle breakdown. Estrogen is also involved in maintaining bone density since bones and muscles are interrelated with the muscles supporting the bones. So estrogen indirectly supports muscle health as well. Now, after menopause, estrogen levels, as we know, drop. Actually, perimenopause, our estrogen levels drop before menopause, leading to an increase in muscle breakdown and decrease in muscle mass. When we have a loss of estrogen, we can have even more muscle loss, seeing sarcopenia increase in women and experience a rapid decline in muscle mass compared to men. Now, growth hormone, I talked to Karen about. It stimulates muscle growth by promoting production of insulin-like growth factor, IGF-1. This plays a role in muscle regeneration and repair. Growth hormone is also involved in the breakdown of fat, supporting lean muscle mass and metabolic efficiency. Aging, well, growth hormone naturally declines in the aging process around age 30. It starts to slow down. This limits the body's ability to build and repair muscle tissue. As growth hormone decreases, the sarcopenia can be increased, contribute to loss of muscle gain. So the process of muscle regeneration slows down. Stress and cortisol levels. We talked about chronic stress leads to elevated cortisol levels, breaking down muscle tissue. Prolonged levels of cortisol can suppress muscle protein synthesis and inhibit the body's ability to repair muscle fibers. What happens? The chronic stress contributes to muscle loss and weakens the body's ability to rebuild and regenerate muscle tissue, making this more difficult to counteract the effects of sarcopenia. So what happens in men and women as we age? Reduction in testosterone impacting muscle recovery and growth. Women see more of the estrogen during perimenopause, I should add in there, reduces muscle building capacity and increases muscle breakdown. Leucine requirements we'll get into, slightly higher protein intake may be needed. Post-workout suggested about 30-40 grams. Protein may need to be distributed evenly throughout the day, 25-30 per meal, but finding for women my age, 40 to 50 grams is what we need with this more anabolic resistance. Now, protein sources, we'll talk about that later on. Whey protein, chicken, fish, eggs have enough leucine. We can focus on good food, but if you are vegan, vegetarian, we have to be a little more creative how to combine foods to get the right essential amino acids to hit leucine threshold without getting excessive amount of calories and excessive amount of carbohydrates, along with the protein and plant-based. It's really challenging. So you need to probably supplement with some essential amino acids that are plant-based. The capsules is Keon or Body Health are great. Strength training, overload, heavy resistance training, aggressive overload to help compensate for lower testosterone and lower estrogen. And then maybe you need to talk to a provider. You can go through Karen Martell, find out how to get some estrogen, testosterone, progesterone. So other reasons for losing muscle, people get to be less active, sedentary lifestyle. So you don't use it, you lose it. Muscle fibers, explosive strength and power, we start to lose. They tend to atrophy first with physical inactivity. As we age, and shift in muscle fiber composition, fast twitch muscle fibers, responsible strength and speed to type 1, contributing to decline in strength and power. We also see sedentary lifestyle people have leads to, of course, muscle wasting, which obviously makes it a slower metabolism, make it harder to manage weight and insulin sensitivity without that muscle, the suitcase theory. So this metabolic decline can be just a nonstop cycle where muscle loss leads to further inactivity, which turn accelerates sarcopenia. We also see nutritional deficiencies, of course, protein deficiency. People don't eat enough of the right protein. People might have one egg or tiny bite of some protein, or I know my mom likes to have the protein shakes, but they don't have the clean ingredient list. And you might just get 20 grams of protein or 15 grams, unless you get the 30-gram ones, which aren't always available. So getting the right essential amino acids that are more animal-based sources that have all essential amino acids with the right amount of leucine to stimulate MPS. So you can look at the 9 essential amino acids. This infographic from Dr. Amy Myers is great visual, but getting all the foods that you can eat that have all these 9 essential amino acids: histidine, phenylalanine, valine, threonine, leucine. See, they all end in INE, so you know, tryptophan, lysine. So beef, chicken, turkey, those are beef, fish, poultry, leucine. And if you're doing soy, you have to be really careful. But all right, so let's look at other nutritional deficiencies, not just protein, but getting enough vitamin D, B12. Inflammation also happens. Chronic inflammation is a major driver of sarcopenia. Chronic diseases. And then men versus women. Why is it? What's different? Men can do things maybe a little less than women, but we have to work harder. We have to not just get 25-30 grams per meal, but might need a little bit more, might need some calcium, vitamin D, focus on strength training, protein consumption, really combat the effects of sarcopenia and preserve muscle mass as we age. So strategies to improve hormones: strength training, of course, increase testosterone, a growth hormone. Optimizing sleep. Deep sleep stimulates the release of growth hormone, which plays a critical role in muscle recovery and growth. Chronic stress. Chronic stress, of course, increases cortisol, which can hinder muscle growth and repair. focusing on stress management techniques, meditation, yoga, deep breathing, and then talking to an expert in hormone replacement therapy might be beneficial for women with estrogen, progesterone needs, perimenopause, not saying postmenopause, but perimenopause, you want to start. Don't wait until you're postmenopause. Maybe some ashwagandha, something to help with stress, and then fenugreek. There's other supplements that are natural boost to testosterone. So look at my full script account if you want my link. So strength training looks 2 to 3 times a week, maybe 4 times a week, hitting those protein goals, leucine-rich foods, anti-inflammatory, making sure you're getting your omega-3s, antioxidants, fiber, aerobic exercise for mitochondria health and energy production. So working at your peak fat max, testing with Pinoe testing to identify what your peak fat max is. And of course, always prioritizing your sleep, number 1, and managing your stress to regulate hormones. And supplementing where you're not getting enough through your food. I think there's key supplements we all need. Magnesium, I use BioOptimizers. Magnesium, having 2 capsules at night. Essential fatty acids, because I do not eat fish every day or every week, and I'm not eating it multiple times a day, so I need to supplement. I use Kion essential fatty acids and Kion essential amino acids, and then vitamin D3 and a K2. I actually need to order a new one, but I like this liposomal drop one. I got it on Amazon. And then CoQ10, curcumin, of course, are amazing. But I've been taking Paleo Valley organ capsules a few days a week, which I still haven't taken today. I need to take early with food. And that is a good all-in-one, so to speak, multivitamin. So doing a comprehensive approach of focusing on hormones, inflammation, mitochondria, activity, nutrition, these lifestyle habits, all important part of improving muscle mass and function. So it's not just lifting weights or not just food, but at least, as Dr. Gabrielle Lyon says, focus on hitting your protein goals first. And if you can exercise, there's obviously more results there. So protein meal, anabolic resistance of muscle protein synthesis with aging is a good chart, 2013. But looking at having your protein, working on what you eat, but proper digestion and absorption, and making sure we're not having resistance. We want to reverse this. So getting more muscle uptake of dietary. We're going to flip all these around and making sure we're eating that protein and getting those muscle building signals. We want to make sure we're getting the amino acids uptake into muscles, delivery into the muscles, amino acids and all that. So we'll dive into the next segment. What is leucine threshold, and going into all of that. So stay tuned for part 2 on muscle protein synthesis, leucine threshold, and we'll talk about what food to have. And thanks for listening. See you next.